Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. This week, we are going to be discussing chapters 21, 22, 23, and 24 of Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. That's 4 chapters, wherein, oh man, a lot of things happen in these. So, Shallan and Adolin go to visit an old friend of ours who we haven't seen in a bit. Friend, that's probably not a... and while there, Shallan meets another old friend. So really, it's just old acquaintances and such up and down the line. Kaladin helps the Parshendi, or the Parshmen, I guess, avoid a high storm. And Dalinar starts remembering things about his wife. Oh, also, he gets a visit from a friend. I'd forgotten that bit too. So it's a lot of old pals showing up in this section. I'm Data, and with me this week is
Joe,
Jack,
and Jamie.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Yearnings intertwined, the golden age in ashes once again. Under stirring stars, in the burning shards, kindle fragments of the fallen rain. So look to the break of dawn, to the break of dawn. Stronger together now.
So yeah, 4 chapters this time. What did you guys think of these 4 chapters?
oh man, I had a good time with these chapters. So we've got the whole Shallan of it, right? We pick back up. She's hungover, I guess, kind of, sort of. I will say the parts that I didn't like about the Shallan bits were just kind of like it's more of that I'm not me, Vale is someone else. Like and again, I don't know the full extent to how her powers work, but these people that she creates, or these characters that she creates, to me they seem like manifestations of her own personality, just altered. But maybe there's more to it. Maybe these are actual original personalities. If that's the case, what she's saying kind of makes more sense. But because I don't know about her powers enough, like I can't really tell what's actually Shallan and what could be like an actual magical construct. And so it gets kind of confusing sometimes, because I can't tell if she's unable to recognize these characteristics in herself, and she's using, pardon the pun, she's using the veil using the character of Vale as a veil to mask like bits of her own personality, or if these are really their own personalities that she's somehow used her magic powers to manifest, right? I mean, Pattern would call them lies, right? But like, are the lies actual? Have they taken on an actual life of their own, or is it just Shallan shifting her, using her own characteristics that maybe she's suppressed, repressed, or pushing more of her personality characteristics to the front than of types that she doesn't normally tap into or use? This is kind of a convoluted conversation, but like I'm just trying to understand it in my brain, and I get a little confused sometimes. But other than that bit at the front end where she's kind of like, oh yeah, Vale did this, Vale did that, I can't believe Vale did that. I enjoyed it. Adolin coming to get her, them going to talk to Iali. We don't get a look inside Iali's head, so we don't really know what is going on with that.
Yep.
Like, does she believe Adolin? Does she not? Maybe she does. And then Murray shows up, which you're like, oh, geez, this guy. I feel like him showing up and acting as a bodyguard in her court kind of leads like credence to my theory that Murray's is actually also Hoyd, because that's a very Hoyd thing to do. Now I know, Murray's is supposed to be like the head of the Ghost Bloods on this planet, so maybe that's also a Ghost Blood thing to do, but we know for a fact it's a very Hoyd thing to do. And so that really struck me reading that. The Kaladin stuff, short. I feel like we're not getting a whole lot from that section. The coolest thing that happened was he actually saw the Spren, which was interesting,
yeah,
but not a lot. And then the Dalinar section was fun. We got him remembering some more stuff. It's a little anxiety filled with Taravangian being there and being like, oh no, what's going to happen with Taravangian? And also, like, it's kind of funny because we're in the readers, we're put in this position now of like, we know Taravangian's like thing, we know what's going on with him, but Dalinar doesn't. And so, it's hard for me to tell from a reader's perspective in this chapter, is he having a day where he's just really dumb, or is he faking it? So like it's this weird thing where it's like we don't know, he actually could not be super intelligent today. We're not sure what's going on. And so it's kind of this weird position that we're put in as readers of like, how much do we trust Teravangian's personality at this moment? So kind of different to read for sure. But yeah, all the parts were good reads.
I had that exact same thought as I was reading this time around, and I don't remember if I've had it previously or not, but I'm just like, is he dumb? Is he pretending to be dumb? Like, we know that he's sneaky enough to use this perception of him, like people think he's dumb. He would absolutely use that against people if it benefited him in some way. Or maybe he's just actually dumb today. It does add a whole different perspective on it.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's one of those kind of interesting positions that Brandon has put the readers in, right? Because we know more than Dalinar does about Teravangian, but we also, because of what we know, we can't tell if he's being genuinely stupid or faking being stupid. And so, yeah, it's it's kind of a weird position that we're in.
And I also don't blame you for being a little bit confused about what's going on with Shallan, because I like the way you put it. It's like Pattern would say it was a lie, but it's like we don't know what kind of lie, what degree of lie we're talking about here. There's a lie happening, but what is it exactly?
Yeah.
Maybe we shall find out.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to add while we're talking about the chapters, well, the book in general. So just for all the listeners out there, I am going to be traveling pretty extensively for work over the next few weeks. And so more than likely, I won't be able to be on the episode live with everybody for like 3 to 4 shows. And so, if I'm not here for several weeks in a row live, that's what's going on. So, don't freak out. I'm just doing a lot of traveling. And so I'll try, to get with Data and see if we can at least talk to each other and record kind of my thoughts. And, if that happens after the episode, I may even ask him to try, if he has time, to like give me some of the perspectives of everybody else so that they can kind of play off of it. Or we might do it the reverse, where he and I record first and then he can kind of tell them what I was thinking. But yeah, we'll try to make it work where I can still have input on the show over the next few weeks, but I won't be able to be live with everybody else for just a bit. So apologize about that in advance, but a lot of different travel work stuff going on in the near future. So anyway, thanks for you guys' understanding on that.
So I liked the fact that, so many other characters who we know are, these guys are big, important parts of the overall narrative. We haven't seen them in a while, are now back. We've only had fleeting mentions of Eli, or in the flashbacks. We've barely had any mentions of Mraize and Taravangian, so it's cool to have, the players are all converging, or at least we're getting reminded that they're all here. Oh, and Amaram's back, apparently, which sucks.
Yeah,
but,
right.
That's a thing that's happening. As far as the chapters themselves go, I agree. I'm kind of just like, all right, I don't get Veil, Shallan, Radiant, whatever's going on. I'm just going to wait for the explanation because I can't figure it out. The actual conversation with Eli was pretty interesting. I've really come around on Adolin, as we all know from the last book, but like I really liked that he surprised everyone by just pointing out the logic to Eli. It's like, why the hell would we just allow Sadeas to walk around free after he tried to kill us on the tower, to assassinate him now that we've been proven right? Like, what does that gain us?
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked that impassioned plea, and like both Shallan and Eli can see it, and it's like, okay, that's a fair point. All right, which just adds to the irony because we know that as much as Adolin conveys authenticity and everything, like he's hiding a bit of a secret about all this, so that's kind of fun. But yeah, no, like really, that was a fun little conversation. It was interesting to see Mraize and like get his insight onto the Sadeas marriage. And it's like, yeah, no, we're interested in Eli, but we can't recruit her. She's a bit crazy. So was her husband. So fascinating insights, because like the amount of warring secret societies and conspiracy ops going on this planet is batshit. So it's fun to get their perspective on each other. And Eli mentions Amaram is back, which again, terrible, but cool. We're set up for another conversation. Can't wait for Kaladin to come back and see Amaram in Uruthira and just go, oh, for fuck's sake, and just peg him off the tower. Kaladin chapter, meeting the Void Spren, I'll admit, is something I've sort of been waiting for without realizing I've been waiting for. I was like, they got this Spren hanging around. We need to see more of that. And she seems fucking crazy as well. Just like drifting up out of the floor, fixing him with like a dead-eyed stare, and it's like, hi. Creepy as fuck. So, yep, interesting. And the Dalinar stuff. Cool to see everything he's going through. I have so many questions about why he's just now remembering his wife, and I'm sure that's the point, but I can't fathom it for the life of me. Maybe it's because he's specifically bonded to Stormfather, and like the bigger your Spren, the more healing you get, and they can fill things in. I don't know. And yeah, Taravangian. I couldn't remember. Have we met his Shardbearer before? I was like, the name sounds familiar, but I can't remember.
No, I don't believe we have. No.
Okay. All right, I must be thinking of something else then. I couldn't work out. It's like, oh yeah, this is someone we know. But like I think Joe summed up everything about Taravangian. It's like we've got the horror movie thing of like we see the villain behind the hero, and the hero doesn't know he's there. But you can't just yell at the screen and say, "Look out behind you!" But also that has the added layer of we don't know, is Taravangian actually a dumbass, or is he just playing the role to the hilt? Very hard to tell. So, yeah, but the players are converging, which is cool. Oh, the only other thing I'd say about this week is like I'm done with these epigraphs. Like, it's like it really feels like Brandon had this whole thing written out for the epigraphs for this section, and then he realized how many chapters he actually had to fill, so he stretched it out as much as he could. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm done. Get to the point.
Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised that you guys will, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. But yeah, no, I get that. But you, last week, you guys were like, we need to see this mystery, like yellow Spren or whatever. And then we finally get a little glimpse of her here, and it's like, oh, she's a weird one.
I mean, she's a Void Spren. I guess they're meant to be different.
No, that's a fair point actually. But yeah, she's a little odd there. I like the way you described that one moment, because it's like, okay, yeah, it sounds creepy when you say it like that.
It was like I'm reading it, just going, "This is messed up, guys."
Yeah, these were fun. I think Jack and Joe have pretty much touched on everything I was going to talk about, but to go through some things, the Shallan with her multiple personalities, I actually don't mind it. I'm sure it has a purpose, and I'm really curious to see where that actually goes. Plus a few sort of concerning things that have popped up recently of like between Shallan and Patton with the, she couldn't remember which memory specifically or like what exactly happened. Like Patton had some concerns with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's definitely something more going on there, which I'm all about at the moment. So yeah, I think it's possibly a dangerous line for Shallan, but we'll see. We'll see what happens over the next few chapters. Taravangian, yeah, when he popped through the gate, I was like, oh no. It's a good colour for people to be like, yeah, he's been a bit affected, and he's just stupid now. But you know what? Having him as a figurehead there, that's fine. It works in their country. We'll just go with it. I have some thoughts on that, but I'm going to leave them for predictions.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an interesting little operation he's got going there. I'm glad that we got to see her. I don't know that I feel as happy with my earlier prediction about she's orchestrated it all. Now that we have a second batch of murders that we know of where we've got a complete duplication of the murder straight after, there's something else going on there. I don't think that's ILI. But I do like that even the Ghost Bloods, who aren't afraid to do some crazy stuff, are like, oh no, we're not touching that one. That's that's too crazy for even us. We're probably too unpredictable, I think. Too in it for themselves and not in it for all of the Ghost Bloods. So I absolutely believe Maurice when he says, yeah, no, they're not with us. We were interested, but not anymore because they're crazy. The stuff with Dalinar remembering his wife, and I realize it happened in like the last set of chapters, but when Navani just said her name, I had to go back and read it because I was like, was that it? Did we just get the name? Did that? And obviously Dalinar did exactly the same thing. But I like that we're going to sort of find out Dalinar's memories at the same time as Dalinar is finding out about his memories. I think this will be really quite interesting going forward. But yeah, I've got some thoughts on that too that I will save for the end.
Okay.
But fun. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying being back. Sorry, I was away for a couple of weeks. Lots of fun. I like what's happening with Kaladin and the Parchment. Not where I think anyone expected that to go, especially him sort of taking them under his wing and showing them the ways of the world. Yeah, I don't think anyone expected that. But it's fun. Cool. Liking where everyone's up to. Keen to see more.
Yeah, you've been gone for a couple weeks, and so when the moment came where Dalinar started remembering, where he could hear his wife's name for the first time, I think for the last 2 weeks, Joe and Dak have both not been super certain, but it's like the best theory we could come up with was like, did the Stormlight somehow, because he's now bonded to the Stormfather, did that somehow heal him? And then in this section of chapters, we get told like, no, that's not it. And so we're back to like, okay, what could it be then?
Yeah, I have an idea. I'll talk about it now. That's okay. I was thinking, and we probably won't know till later, but maybe it's in the wording that he used with the Night Watcher of my wife, but she's not his wife anymore.
Oh,
He's married Navani, and maybe that's yeah. So I hope he doesn't now forget Navani, but because he's remarried, maybe that undoes the wording that was used. I think it's going to be in something really specific in that way.
Now, I imagine that if he starts forgetting Navani, the person he is currently married to, that would be a whole different awkward.
It would be a whole different awkward, but you know, maybe he won't forget Navani because Navani's still there. But yeah, because she's not currently his wife, it's cancels out. I don't know.
Good theory. I like that one. Now we'll move into these chapters. We took some digressions here at the beginning, although not nearly as much. Like when Jamie was not here last week, we or the week before, we went nuts with the digressions. So yeah,
I heard that it was off kilt before even he got into anything.
Oh man. So yeah, let's move into these chapters, y'all.
We didn't even hit the opening music.
No, yeah, before
you come for the Sanderson, you stay for the silliness.
Oh man,
it's the silly Lance, yo.
Oh wow!
I have to say that the very first epigraph we have here, I was like, oh, Dak's gonna hate this. Where it's just like, I'm no storyteller to entertain you with whimsical yarns. And it's like, yeah, we know at this point.
We fucking know.
Oh my gosh. And we have, let's see, after this episode, we have 2 more episodes of part 1. And the third one after this, we hit the interludes. So it'll still be a little bit of part 1. But there's plenty of these yet to come, is where I'm getting it. But we start out with Shallan is in bed. And as it turns out, she still gets to have a hangover. So sucks for her, I guess. Although I think the impression that I'm getting from the chapter as we go through it is she ran out of Stormlight before she could get rid of all the drunkenness.
Yeah.
But Adolin shows up, and he's like, Shallan, I'm gonna wait until you really say I can come in this time. And she's like, oh man, I don't want to get up. This is not fun. The jug of Horn-Eater White is in the corner and it's empty. And she's like, what happened last night? I remember like stabbing myself and like weird stuff. And she won't really respond to Adolin in a realistic way. He's like, are you decent? And she's like, it depends on the context. I'm decent at sleeping. So he's like, look, Shallan, I'm gonna peek in because Polona says you've been in here all day. And she's like, oh man, I look really bad. I can't let him see me like this. And she even has this thought of like, Adolin can look perfect after a storm, 6 hours of fighting and a bath in creme water. How did he make his hair so adorable? So clearly he uses some kind of product that you need to get in on.
It's some kind of special serum or gel.
Rosharan shampoo. It's the Rosharianist.
Alethi shampoo. It's for the light eyes.
It reminds me of the Double Babysitter episode of Bluey where the guy and the girl discover that they like the same shampoo.
Classic.
And it's like, Polona said you're not feeling well, and Shalon's response is blarg. Is it girl stuff? And she goes off on a whole rant about whenever a woman is feeling a little odd, men are always blaming the blah blah blah. And he's like, oh, so it's all our fault. Yeah, like everything else, war, famine, bad hair. And then she calms down a little bit. He's like, so what is wrong? And she goes, girl stuff. He's like, yeah, you see, I don't think men do that nearly as much as women do themselves. So,
Ayla, do you know how that works, buddy?
and then he spots the jug of Horneater White, and he's like, what the? Like, he knows, he knows, like, this is Horneater White? And she's like, yeah, I got a little carried away doing investigations. He's like, in a place serving Horneater moonshine? And he's like, that's not safe, Shalon. She's like, dude, I could literally survive being stabbed with a sword through the chest. I think I'll be okay. And he's like, oh, yeah, all right. And then he's like, but wait a second. You can survive like all of this stuff, but you still, and she's like, get menstrual cramps? Yeah. Mother cultivation can be hateful. I'm an all-powerful, shard blade wielding pseudo-immortal, but nature still sends a friendly reminder every now and then that I should get around to having children. And then Pattern gets to pop in. No mating.
I love Patton's line of no mating, but also that is so real. It's like you can put up with so much stuff, and I'm only speaking as a woman because I am a woman, and I'm sure men put up with stuff too. So I'm not playing one over the other or anything, but you can put up with so much stuff, and then you're like, really? Are you serious? This still happens? Like, what? Why? What did I do to you? It's very annoying.
I like that perspective. It's like, what did I do to you?
Yeah. We missed you a couple weeks ago. We were talking about how none of us had ever been a teenage girl. We needed like a teenage girl perspective.
I don't know what that was about. Yeah.
I think it was about Shalon because we were trying to be like, because she was being a little silly. She's like in her head, like, did he find out my secrets? It's like,
oh yeah,
what?
yeah.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
we
for
established that she's like 18 or 17 or something. So it's like, oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. And we're like, yeah, we've never been a teenage girl.
It is a tumultuous time.
I believe that, having a teenage girl child. Yeah.
Mm.
Tumultuous time in like our world where we have advances in modern technology and medicine. Like, and this is a world where everything's powered by magic glowing rocks, and they're fighting a war with crab people. So like
we had to drive like 7 hours to go on the cruise that we went on the other week, and my wife likes to listen to the true crime podcast type things, which is not really my thing, but she enjoys it. So I'm like, yeah, you go for it. And one of the stories was about a girl, like a teenage girl, she's like 15, dating like a 20-year-old or something, and her parents didn't approve, so she masterminded getting her boyfriend to murder her father for her so that she could be with him.
Whoa.
And yeah. And we got home, and I was like, our teenage girl child was here, and I was like, yeah, don't please don't mastermind my murder. I would appreciate this.
Yeah.
I think she's thinking about it.
She's considering.
Yeah. Can't trust those teenage girls, is all I'm saying, or teenage boys for that matter. I have one of those too, and can't trust them. So,
but to go back to something else, is this the first time we've heard the phrase "mother cultivation"?
I think it is.
Because like, oh, okay, but yeah, like knowing what we do about the shards, and like, oh, I don't know if we've ever heard cultivation referred to as that before. That's interesting. What's the context there? If like, what's do they just call? They just call honor the Almighty, don't they? Or like that's the closest approximation they have to God. So, what is mother cultivation in that pantheon? Is that do they view her as God's wife, another god, or a subservient god, or a demigod? Or I need the context of the pantheon here.
Yeah, because we know that Shalon is very much, I won't say very religious, but she has strong religious feelings about Vornism, yeah? So we've only ever heard about the Almighty, and now it's like, wait, what's this? I agree.
Yeah.
We have heard Yasna referenced in, I almost said Well of Ascension, Words of Radiance, that second book, not the other second book. She says that the groupings of spren, emotion spren versus nature spren, are where she thinks the ideas of mankind's primeval gods came from. Honor, who became Vornism's almighty, was created by men to represent ideal human emotions. Cultivation, the god worshipped in the West, is a female deity that is in the embodiment of nature and nature spren. So
Right. Okay. So that's right, because the Shin worship cultivation because they got the green lands where the high storms just mysteriously don't affect. Okay. So it's basically like, so even though Shallan is like, is in on Vorinism, she's referencing a Shin god here, effectively.
yeah, something like that. Why would Shallan make that reference? Maybe they still like see this cultivation character as like a representative of nature in some way, and it's like, oh, this is a natural process, so it's her fault. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Mother Nature, basically.
Maybe
in our context.
Yeah, Mother Earth.
Mother Earth, Father Time.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember way back in the first baby break, when you guys were doing the 1-star reviews while Jamie and I were out, and I can't remember which of the Mistborn books it was for, but there was one review which is like a 1-star, and a lot of it seemed to revolve around the fact that preservation was male, and the reviewer cracked the absolute shits because, like, in all the cultures on Earth, like the gods of nature and Earth and growth and that sort of thing are female. How dare Brandon make it a male? I'm like, that seems like a weird hill to die on. I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, reader, if only you'd gotten this far, you'd see, hey, this planet in the same series has a female cultivation god.
True.
Yeah. Also, that's weird to object to just on the basis of like it's a work of fiction, so it has to mirror our world. I don't understand.
Yeah, I agree. But that one has just always stuck with me. And then when I read Mother Cultivation here, it just kind of jumped out in my head. I'm like, oh, how about that? Should have hung in longer there, reader.
I actually listened to a couple of those just this week because I was trying to come up with a new 1-star episode idea. And so I went back to listen to what we did with those. That's funny. I was looking at 1-star reviews for Wind and Truth. And there's some weird stuff out there, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the reviews simply said the woke light archives. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
cool.
They're so woke somehow in some way. I don't get that.
But yeah, anyway. Someday maybe we will get to we'll do some 1-star Stormlight reviews. That'll be fun. And I was just like, if you're gonna hate on the book, I appreciate it if you'll at least like do something that I can laugh at, like and that I can hold out to other people to make fun of you. That I'm good with that. So yes, no mating, and like Adelin's like, yeah, you gotta watch out for these horn-eater whites. And she's like, no, I can burn the intoxication away with some Stormlight. Speaking of which, I ate all mine. Do you have some? And he goes, I have one single sphere that my father lent me so I could stop carrying a lantern around with me. And she tried to bat her eyelashes at him, but she wasn't exactly sure how one did that or why. And he hands it over, and she sucks it up and is able to like heal her hand, which I guess she didn't have enough Stormlight to heal like the stabbing through her hand from yesterday, which I would make sure I had some Stormlight before I did that sort of thing if it was me, but whatever.
That was completely crazy. I realized I wasn't here for that one, but like, what the hell?
Yeah, agreed. I think at the time we all agreed, like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, we talked quite a bit about that. Like, wait, that's not healthy. Even if you are like playing a role, like that's just not no.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. That's not cool.
And Aylin's like, yeah, my dad explained that good relationships require investment. I don't think this is what he meant. Also, we have the strangest conversations. And she goes, yeah, but it feels natural to have them with you. And he's like, yeah, that's the weird part, actually. So she's like, thanks for dragging me out of bed. And he's like, actually, I have some selfish reasons for that. I'm going to need some. Okay. My favorite line in the chapter where he says, I'm kind of hoping for some moral support. And she goes, don't hit the message too hard. If you want someone to believe what you're telling them, come to your point gradually so they're with you the entire time. And he cocks his head. She's like, "Oh, not that kind of moral." Okay. It's like a storytelling joke where I'm just like, yeah, I believe Brandon wrote that. Okay. And then she has to be like, "I'm sorry, I'll be good."
I didn't get that joke until you explained it. So, yeah, it's a lot funnier now that I understand it.
And he says, "My father persuaded Ioli Sadius to meet with me. He thinks that she'll have some clues about her husband's death." And Shallan's like, "You don't sound optimistic." Which we have to remember, Adolin knows who killed her husband, so clues would not be good. He says, "I don't like her, Shallan. She's strange. Not strange like you. Strange, bad, strange." And she's like, "How much time?" He says, "How much time do you need to get ready?" And she goes, "A lot." He's like, "I guess we'll be late then." It's not like her opinion of me can get any worse. Father wants me to take some reports from Sabarial on the commerce anyway. And she goes, "Tell him the booze in the market is good." Which is funny because she actually hated the booze in the market. And when she comes down an hour later, Sabarial and Polona are getting massages from a horn-eater. I'm sorry, a flight of horn-eater servants. So there's a bunch of horn-eaters massaging them.
A group of horn-eaters is a flight?
I guess so.
Okay.
And it's like, she's upset because she just took a cold bath while they're up here in luxury. And he's like, "How is it that I'm still sleeping on the floor when you have cots right here that you're getting massages on?" And she's like, "Are you," or Sabarial says, "Are you a high prince?" "No, I'm a knight radiant, which I should think is higher." And he's like, uh-huh. "So then you can pay to have your own cot carried from the war camps." And Polona's like, "I mean, she did save the world." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know if it counts as saved so much as just like delaying the destruction. It's a mess out there." And there's some back and forth, but I think the main thing to take is that he says he's going to send an expedition back to the war camps because you can't leave Thanadal and Vama to take care of it or claim everything back there for themselves. "You be a good Radiant," he said, "and get those other oath gates working. I've prepared quite the scheme for taxing passage through them." And she's like, "Okay, Adolin, are you ready?" And he's sitting like awkwardly over to one side. He's like, "Yeah, let's go." And she notices as they get outside that he's brought Gaz and Vatha here. So I'm sure Dak is happy to see that Gaz is still making it.
Oh, we love Gaz. I mean,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Moving on.
And he says, "I thought we'd take your guards today." And then he has kind of this whole thing where she's like, "I don't really need guards, so I let them do whatever they want." And he's like, "Look, these are your men. You have to like make them feel useful. If you give them the honor of serving you and feeling important, that they're part of something important, then they'll do well by you, basically." And she's like, "You sound like your dad." He goes, "No, there's nothing wrong with that." And she says, "Yeah, I didn't say there was. I like it. I'll find something to do with my guards, something useful, I promise." I mean, I had kind of forgotten that they existed at this point, so that sounds about right. And as they're going along, she kind of figures out that he's hiding something. She's like, "Well, the idea that you're living up to your dad's expectations, that's bothering you." "What? No?" She's like, "You're not telling me something." And he says, "Maybe." And she's like, "Well, thank the Almighty for that. You're not going to ask what it is?" Ash's eyes, "No, I'd rather figure it out. A relationship needs some mystery." So she's very, very observant there that she's figured out that Adolin is hiding something. But also hilarious to me that she's just like, "Oh, I don't want you to tell me. It's much more fun if I get to figure it out."
Also, don't feel like that's good strategy for a relationship. Just saying.
I mean, when the thing you're figuring out is murder,
She obviously doesn't think it's anything too sinister.
I wouldn't think
But
she
also-
does. Yeah.
Yeah, if he had confessed to Shallan, I have a feeling that she would have his back.
I feel like, yeah, it's going to be one of those, if and when she finds out what Adolin did, she's going to be less annoyed that he did it and more that he didn't tell her.
I mean, right now she's like, "Oh, no, don't tell me. I want to figure it out." So
Yeah. But like now she's going to be like, "I was trying to solve a murder and you knew about the murder." Like, God damn it, we're meant to be betrothed. I'll help you hide a body.
that's the kind of fiance you need.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys. I don't agree.
Joe's like, "I do not want my fiance to help me hide any bodies. I want her to report me to the police."
I'm married and I don't need a fiance, so that's another thing.
Fair point. Yeah.
Well, is that a condition of marriage that of betrothal that we're supposed to hide bodies for each other?
Yeah, I don't know, Jamie. Do you feel like that's an acceptable thing?
I mean, like I could, but I don't know. It really depends on the circumstance of the body being there.
Fair.
I think.
Whose body?
Yeah, let's say
Whose
your
body?
betrothed killed Sadeas. Are you cool with hiding that body,
Oh.
or?
I would hide that body. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, then I guess it's fine.
I mean, what's the other option? Is you like rat him out?
No, just don't say anything.
Okay.
But don't make yourself an accomplice.
Well, I mean, if you know that it happened, you're already an accomplice.
I
If
guess
you don't
that's
report
true.
it, so
Yeah, I don't know. It's a sticky wicket for sure.
sticky wicket. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They move into the Sadius area of the tower, and Shalon notes that, like, oh, Sadius' soldiers, this is like gangs in here. It's like gangs in New York up in here. And
Liam Neeson and Daniel Day-Lewis.
is that who's in? I never saw that movie.
You never saw that movie? It's a good movie.
No.
Oh, that movie! It's a great movie.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio, Cameron Diaz is meh. But yeah.
I was about to say,
absolutely
you
good
said
movie.
those two people, and I was like, I thought Leonardo DiCaprio was in that. But
Yeah,
okay.
so not to spoil too
That's
much,
got a
Liam
massive cast.
Neeson is Leonardo DiCaprio's dad.
Yeah.
Like there's heaps of people in that. It's got Brendan
Yeah.
Gleeson. It's got John C. Reilly. It's got
That's right, I forgot John C. Reilly's in that.
Elliot from E.T. is in it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And like, when you watch it, it's like The Departed kinda, but in, the early 1900s.
Okay.
Good movie. Long movie.
Yeah, it is long. That is true.
I do remember that when it was out. That was one of the reasons I think I didn't see it when it came out, because I was like, oh, that's kind of long. I don't know that I want to dedicate that much to a premise that I'm not sure I'm on board with.
Mhm.
Yeah. Jim Broadbent's in it too.
Adolin says that you can't look too clean in Sadius' army or you get mocked. You can't be mistaken for a Kholin. And they get into the room where Ayla is sitting in kind of like a throne sort of thing in the center of the room. And right beside her is Mraize, one of the leaders of the Ghost Bloods. And that's the end of the chapter.
Bum bum bum. But then we pick right back up with them.
We
so
pick
it's fine.
right back up, yeah. With the epigraph, I'm no philosopher to intrigue you with piercing questions.
So this statement makes me definitely think it's not Yasna, because I don't feel like that's something Yasna would say.
He does like questions.
Yeah.
It's true.
So that statement alone, I'm like, that doesn't sound like a Yasna thing.
I can see that. And so Mraize is sitting here, like one of Ayla's guards, it seems like, in the same uniform all the other Sadius soldiers are in. The only difference is he has a chicken on his shoulder. And she's like, that's one of those weird chickens too, that's all green with like a wicked beak. Looks like a predator.
I like every time they say chicken, my first thought is a chicken, and then they go to describe it, and I'm like, that's not a chicken. It's so confusing.
For some reason, the first thing I picture here is he's got like a little green chocobo on his shoulder.
That would be
And
cute.
I don't know
I
why.
assume it's supposed to be more like a parrot.
I think so, yeah.
Calling it a chicken.
Because all birds are chickens on Roshar.
Yeah, I think that's what, all crab things are some kind of shell creature, and then all the birds are chickens for whatever reason.
All the booze is wine.
Yeah, that was another discussion you missed out on, Jamie. We kept talking about like how all the booze is called wine and how it obviously isn't wine.
Yeah, quite obviously. When she was trying that, I was like, that's not wine. Ew.
And Shalon's like, who walks around with a pet chicken? They're for eating, right? Who even does that? And Adolin also notes the chicken and kind of just raises an eyebrow, but Reyes does not acknowledge this in any way. So it's like, okay, whatever.
Also, why would Ayla allow like somebody in her guard to just like be carrying around a chicken? That doesn't seem like. I mean, I guess she doesn't care because they're all dressed gruffly and stuff, but I don't know. It's weird.
It's weird, right? Yeah.
Look, maybe on a scale of her problems, the chicken on someone's shoulder is not really that big a deal. I mean, her husband used to stab tables, so
It's true.
It's another Hoyd-ish thing for sure, which is gives I'm staying on that theory that this Mraize guy is actually also Hoyd, because that seems very Hoydish to do as well. And if it is Hoyd, for all we know, that parrot chicken thing could be one of those weird creatures made up of other creatures.
Oh, one of the
Ooh.
sleepless. Hmm.
Yeah, the sleepless.
So I was gonna go the other way and suggest like, yeah, if Marae's as a Ghost Blood is a world hopper, is this an AVR?
Ah.
Yeah.
We did see when we were in like his secret base, he seemed to have a bunch of stuff from different planets in his like
Yeah.
gallery. So
Yeah.
could be.
It's like maybe like Eli keeps him around. It's like, yeah, Bird Guy is kind of weird, but he gets a lot of he's quite lucky when he sees traps coming or something.
That bird
Yeah.
guy, he knows his way around being a guard.
Hey, Bird Guy, come check this out.
No, you're
Birdman.
gonna have me wondering if this is an AVR. Like we know they have different powers, right? Like what does this AVR do?
Sniffs out bullshit. That'd be pretty cool. It's like when somebody lies, he's like, "Wah!" But Adolin did lie, so I guess that's not.
Yeah, he ain't no pattern bird.
No. A good lie. That's my pattern voice.
ILI starts out the conversation. I was like, "Did you know that white spines, after they make a kill, they'll eat and then hide near the carcass?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's one of the dangers of hunting them. You think you're on their trail, and it turns out they're just waiting nearby." And she's like, "Yeah, I used to wonder about that, but then I realized the white spine's not picky. The kill will attract scavengers, and then those will be its next meal." The implication is clear. Why have you returned to the scene of the kill, Colin?
It's funny because she's more accurate than she realizes.
Yeah, right? And he's like, "Hey, look, we take the murder of our High Prince very seriously. We're doing everything we can to prevent it from happening again." You're like, "Yeah, of course. The other High Princes are too scared to stand up to you now." And Shallan's like, "Oh, you walked into that one, dude." And Aelin's like, "Can you think of anyone who might want to kill your husband other than my dad? Like, I'm here to try to get information about who might have done this." And she's like, "Oh, so even you admit?" And he cuts in, and this is where he really kind of gets her. Like, "My mom always said she thought you were clever. She admired you and wished she had your wit. But I can't see any proof of that. Do you really think my father would have taken all of the insults and betrayals for years and kill him now that Sadeas was proven wrong and my father is basically like king of this whole tower and his position is secure?"
He has a point.
Yeah, right? "We both know my father's not behind your husband's death. To claim otherwise is simple idiocy." And Shallan's like, "Oh, that was nice. That's exactly what you needed to do."
Shard blades cut through anything, but Adolin cuts through bullshit.
And apparently that was a well enough made point that I was like, "Get this guy a chair." And Maraise, who has taken on a rural, almost Herdazian accent, is like, "Yes, brightness."
So I imagine he's talking like a New Zealander.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, are we implying that like Australian accent is very rural? Is that what we're?
I still don't see. I still don't see Herdazian accents as Australian. That sounds so weird to me.
I don't either, but I'm just gonna laugh about it anyway.
Yeah, especially like the way that Lopin talks. It's like it doesn't lend itself to Australian to me.
No.
And then Eli looks at Shallan's like, "Yeah, go get us some tea. Make yourself useful." And Shallan's not happy about this, but also it'll give her a chance to leave the room now that Maraise has also left the room and like talked to him. So she's like, "All right, fine." And she gets in the other room. She's like, "What are you doing here?" His chicken chirped softly as if in agitation. And Maraise says, "I'm keeping an eye on that one. We have interest in her." She's like, "She's not one of you, is she?" No. She and her husband were too wild a variable for us to invite. Their motives are their own. I don't think they align with anyone else, human or listener. And she's like, "Oh, and the fact that they're like shit people doesn't matter to you?" And he says, "Morality is an axis that does not interest us. Only loyalty and power are relevant."
Wow, that's a villain line if I've ever heard one.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very Voldemort thing to say.
And she's like, "I'm not one of you." And he's like, "I mean, you were pretty free using our symbol last night." So he got that information quick.
Maybe the bird saw it.
The bird was there, watching from the wings, as it were.
Get it? Ah.
Wigs.
Good one, Data. If I had a rim shot, I'd give it to you.
And he's like, "Hey, no, it's fine. You're allowed to use our authority to achieve your goals. That's a benefit of membership." And then he's like, "So we have a task for you." And she's like, "Dude, I'm not going to work for you. You killed Yasna." And And he's like, yeah, it's an enemy combatant. Don't look at me like that. Do you blame your wonderfully moral Blackthorn for what he did in war, the countless people he slaughtered? And she's like, we're not playing the, like, what about game? Like, look over there. I don't care how much you demand that I soulcast for you. I'm not gonna. And he's like, no, look, see, here's the thing. What we want you to do is what you're already trying to do anyway. Or at least that you're already interested in anyway. You've sensed how wrong this place is. We want you to secure your Etheru. This must remain strong if we're to properly use the advent of the Voidbringers. She's like, wait, use them? Yeah, this is a power we will control, but we can't let either side dominate yet. So, hunt for the source of the darkness and get rid of it. That's your task.
The way he words this sort of it's sort of tied into my previous theory. It's like maybe it's like an evil spren, like one of the unmade or something that's doing this. That's doing the murders, the copycat murders. The source of the darkness doesn't feel like a human element.
No, it does feel like, not only does it feel kind of inhuman, it feels like he's saying there's a specific thing that is responsible for what's going on here, and I want you to get rid of it. So yeah. I see what you mean. And he says, as payment, I will give you information about Helloran. She's like, oh, damn it, now I want that.
Awkward. It's like the information is going to be that Caliban killed him, isn't it?
That would lead to some awkwardness, yeah, right?
That's gonna suck.
I was just thinking, like, would the Ghostbloods know that? Amaram kept it pretty secret, like that he wasn't the one. Like, everyone thinks Amaram did it, right? But the Ghostbloods have a way of knowing stuff that they're not supposed to know.
Yep.
We go back into the other room where Ayla and Adolin are talking. And Ayla's theory, also Shalon notices that she looks like she's been crying. And it's like, oh, she really cared about her husband. Unless this is all an act somehow. But Ayla's theory is that, yeah, I know Dalinar isn't going to assassinate his old friend in a back alley, basically. But somebody working for Dalinar, somebody under his command, might have thought, hey, I'll do Dalinar a favor and kill this guy. Which, I mean, in a way, you could say that actually was Adolin's motivation. It's a little more personal for Adolin than she's implying here of some random soldier, but...
Well, it was more heat of the moment than premeditated, as I think she suspects, but
True.
She's not wrong.
Yeah. And Adolin's like, okay, so actually Shalon, she's like, if that's the case, what about the other murders? And I was like, I don't know the mind of the person. Maybe they just decided they like killing. Anyway, this meeting can serve no further purpose. Bye.
Oh, gotta remember that line. And use that at work.
I think we can agree this meeting serves no further purpose and just walk out.
Just hang up.
And she says that she has her own investigator. And she's like, I hope you'll share whatever information you find with us. And he's like, oh, I mean, sure. Who's your investigator? I'll send him reports. Oh, his name is Meridus Amaram. I think you know him. And Shalon's like, High Marshal Amaram? He's like, yeah, among my husband's most acclaimed generals. And she's like, oh, that motherfucker, he killed my brother. You killed my brother. Prepare to die.
Yeah. Too bad she's wrong.
Apparently, Amaram came in on the last caravan in disguise, But as soon as he's back on duty, he's going to make finding Sadeas' killer a priority. And as they leave, Adolin's like, oh man, Bridge Boy's not going to be happy about Amaram being here. And Shalon's thinking, yeah, not just him. And they're thinking, like, this is clearly, like, Ayla is moving to, she's taking this person my father has publicly proclaimed to be a liar and putting him up as somebody important and trustworthy. So she's still trying to set up an alternate side here. I thought maybe without Sadeas this would get easier. And Shalon has one question mark bright side for Adolin. She's like, I think you're right about there being multiple killers. I heard something last night while I was out. And he goes, when you weren't staggering around drunk? I'll have you know I'm a very graceful drunk, Adolin Colin.
Only because of Stormlight.
Yeah, right. She was not doing so well before she found out that she could burn away the booze. And at the end of the chapter, we find out that the high storms have returned. They've just spotted a new storm wall in New Netanan, which we kind of knew that from the last section. Syl was like, I can feel a high storm coming, so it shouldn't shock us at this point. Chapter 23, the epigraph, I am no poet to delight you with clever illusions. It really does feel like he's stretching it out.
Yeah, it's like, okay, these epigraphs are here to build anticipation. You've built anticipation. It's a very nice anticipation. It has a backyard and a pool. You can stop building it now.
So this chapter is Kaladin, starts out with Kaladin negotiating with this guy who runs a storm bunker. He needs a place. Kaladin's pretending he works for a Bright Lord, and he's like, my Bright Lord and his men need a place to wait out the storm. And the guy actually has some supplies he can sell and a free space because he had been planning to, like, a caravan basically had a reservation, but they haven't shown. In fact, the last 3 caravans that were supposed to come through have not shown up, so it's concerning. And Kaladin can pay the guy, but also he's like, hey, look, there's an extra catch here. I need you to not watch while my Bright Lord and the men go in. And he's like, wait, no, what? I have to watch. I help you guys get settled in. That's my job.
It's such an odd request that makes him stand out now. Good job, Kaladin.
Well, I mean, he can't have the guy watch a bunch of parshmen go in.
Yeah, no, I get his reasoning, but to just spell it out there is like, oh, like maybe you could have subtly found a way to distract him or something. I don't know. Something else.
And the guy who runs the way station is a light-eyed guy, and Kaladin is not currently light-eyed, so he's like, hey, don't threaten me. I'm of 6th Dawn. Like, I'm an important dude. More important than you, anyway. But he does actually let them go without watching, so... And he gets them all in there, in the bunker, in time for the storm, and it's all good. And Saw, one of the parchmen's like, hey, you did a good job. I'll speak for you when we reach the gathering. And Kaladin's like, thanks, I guess. But they did make sure to put some gems out so that the storm would renew them. He'll have access to all the stormlight he could want again. He's running out of excuses to not head back to the Shattered Plains at this point. And then he sees something flicker, and he thinks, oh, is Syl back? But no, it is a glowing yellow spren standing on a translucent pillar of golden stone that rises up from the ground to put her even with him. So he's sitting down, so it's not like it's a giant pillar, but she's a tiny little person, and a golden pillar raises up from the ground, so she's at eye level with him. And she looks like someone from Shinovar. And he's like, all right, pretend you've never seen a spren like this before. Like, you have to be surprised. I can see you. She's like, yeah, because I want you to. You are an odd one. Why are you still here, human? He's like, because your parchman took me captive? Did your mother teach you to lie like that? They're less than a month old. Congratulations on fooling them. I'm a tad older than that. And so he's like, the world is changing. I guess I want to see where this goes. Which, that's kind of a funny motivation to me, but... And she's like, I mean, would you fight for us? And he goes, I mean, would I be allowed to? Yeah, my kind aren't nearly as inclined towards discrimination as yours. If you can carry a spear and take orders, I won't turn you away. And he's like, okay, well, where can I find out? And she's at our destination, which is close enough. Why, you have pressing appointments elsewhere? Off for a beard trim, perhaps? And then she's like, hey, how did you know there would be a high storm tonight? And he says, felt it in my bones. Humans cannot feel storms, regardless of the body part in question. Also, we find out that as she moves, like, new columns of, not really stone, but I guess they look that way, like golden stone, rise up as she steps around, so she always stays at the same height. So that's just, we've seen Spren move in weird ways, like Pattern's movement is a little bit odd, we talked about, but this is a weird one to me. So his eventual explanation is like, it just seemed like the right time for another high storm, what with the weeping having stopped and all. And the chapter ends, it's like, she didn't nod or give any sign of what she thought of that. She just held her knowing smile and faded from view.
Ah, what a creep.
She knows.
You know something, maybe. Or at least suspects. So there's something weird about this guy. The last epigraph is the one that really doesn't sound Yasna-ish to me. I have no doubt that you're smarter than I am. I can only relate what happened, what I have done, and let you draw conclusions.
Maybe it's Taravangian writing to himself. Yeah.
That would be
Other
funny.
me, you're smarter than I am.
Or maybe dumber. Who knows, really? Depends on the day.
Depends on the day.
Mm. Speaking of Taravangian, he's about to show up. Look at that. But we start out with Dalinar remembering his wife's name, Evie. Evie, I don't know. She'd been tall and willowy with yellow hair, not golden like the Iriali, but still. He could recall meeting her, courting her awkwardly. He didn't remember love, but he did remember attraction. And so he's finally getting his memories back. at least some of them. And why now, he's wondering. And why have I only recovered, the early memories? Not all of them at the same time. He remembered how difficult the years following her death was, which culminated in him being drunk and useless the night Seth came. He'd always assumed that he'd gone to the Night Watcher to be rid of the pain of losing her, and the Spren had taken his memories as payment. But he didn't know for certain. It just seemed right. It's funny because he told us very specifically in previous books, I know my boon and my curse. But now he's just I always figured that's what it was. The High Storm, we're seeing all of these folks at roughly the same time because the High Storm is happening. At least we know that it's more or less in chronological order, I guess. And there's a bright flash, and we are at the Oathgate, and some people have come through. Some people looking very amazed at the sudden, the sight of a tower as wide as a city and tall as a mountain. People wearing burnt orange robes, including Adrotagia, the head Kharbranth scribe. Some thought she was the true power behind the throne, while others guessed it was the other scribe who was left behind in the king's absence. Whoever it was kept Taravangian around as a figurehead. I love that this is the impression they've been able to give the entire world, basically. Taravangian had been a friend to Gavilar, and now he smiles at Dalinar here. It's an honor to meet you again, Blackthorn. It's been too long. And Dalinar remembers he met Taravangian several times a long time ago, and he remembered a man of quiet, keen intelligence. But supposedly something has happened since then, a strange illness 5 years ago. And then we also have a woman with a shard blade and a boyish haircut. And Taravangian's all right, introductions. This is Blackthorn. This is the newest Knight Radiant Malata of Yakaved. So, all right. And we cut to them riding up the lifts towards the top of the tower. And he's oh my gosh, this is so cool. What makes the thing move? And Dalinar's yeah, my engineers are studying it. It's a conjoined fabrial thing with gears to modulate the... And Taravangian's no, I mean, is it Stormlight? Or are there people pulling them somewhere? We had Parshman to pull ours back in Kharbranth. And Dalinar's yeah, Stormlight. Ah, okay. And Dalinar's man, yeah, this guy would not be allowed to hold the throne in Alethkar. Somebody would have bumped him off already.
Is it just me, or is that I don't think that's a completely dumb question to ask if people because he's got a pulley system where you've actually got people operating it. I get Irathira is huge, and to have someone using pulleys to make that happen would be just insane. But the Alethi, they're so used to having Stormlight and making that go. There's plenty of people in the rest of the world who have Stormlight also, but it's really, Dalinar, you're very much just assuming, they're playing really heavy into the, God, how dumb is this guy? I don't think he said anything particularly stupid.
I think the impression I get is when he says that, it's Fabrials, it's understood that, Fabrials use Stormlight to work.
Yeah,
and
okay.
So when Taravangian's oh, well, no, I mean, is it Stormlight or somebody pulling them? He has to be okay, yeah, no, I have to dumb this down a little bit more.
Okay, so it's more explaining the Fabrial. I missed that part. Fair enough.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, okay.
And Dalinar's thinking, yeah, this guy wouldn't be allowed to roll back in Alethkar, but, I mean, Kharbranth doesn't wage war, and really it was a coincidence, a twist of luck that he got crowned King of Yakaved. But I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm going to do everything I can here to make this relationship good, get him on our side. He even says, hey, how well guarded is Vedinar, the capital of Yakaved? I have extra troops here just hanging around. We can send some to help reinforce, not so we don't lose the Oathgate there. And Taravangian looks over to Adrotagia, who's the city is secure. You don't have to worry. The Parshmen made one push for the city, but there were still many Vedin troops around, so they withdrew to the east, which Dalinar realizes is, they're going toward Alethkar. Awesome. And let's see, Taravangian has kind of a really philosophical moment where he talks about, I remember as a child, an ardent prayed to the Almighty, and thinking, surely the sorrows can't be past us. The evils didn't actually end. If they had, wouldn't we be back in the Tranquiline Halls? I don't think you and I are destined for such a glorious place. Men of blood and sorrow don't get an ending like that, Dalinar called in. And Dalinar's I have no idea what the hell to say to that. All right. I guess, seeing all that slaughter in Vedinar must have really troubled this guy. Meanwhile, Malata is over here just kind of, leaning against the balcony when they get up here, not really saying anything. But she's always got, a grin, more or less, and carries a whole bunch of spheres around with her. We're not sure what to think of this lady yet. And Navani is here, and she asks, a little more privately, she's hey, how's it going? And Dalinar's I mean, he's as sincere as ever, but And she says, dense? And Dalinar goes, dear, I'm dense. This man has become an idiot. And she's like, oh, you're not dense. You're rugged, practical. He's like, no, I know how thick my skull is. It's done right by me on more than one occasion. Better a thick head than a broken one. And Dalinar says, she points out to him, it's like, we don't need any more smart people. Like, that's not the top of our list of needs. But this guy has always been like a friend to Alethkar. So, be nice. And Dalinar says, there's an earnestness there and a melancholy that I don't remember. Was that always there? And she's like, yeah, actually. And the Surgebinder is a releaser or dustbringer, though they don't like that term apparently. She claims her spren told her that. I don't like how she smiles.
I gotta say, like, you can hate on the term dustbringer all you want, but it is, like, leaps and bounds better than releaser.
I tend to agree, yeah.
Just don't fool yourself, Malata.
Well, no, like the implication is that she doesn't care, but her spren was like, yeah, we don't like the term dustbringer, so make sure that you're aware of that.
Great, your glowing ball of light is picky.
And Navani makes an interesting point that we've discussed a little bit before. Navani's like, I mean, if she's really a Radiant, can she be anything other than trustworthy? Would the Spren pick someone who would act against the best interests of the Orders? But we really don't know.
I mean, that depends on what they're being led to believe. Like, Nail was a herald. And, and he had a blade, didn't he?
He did.
Oh, no, he was a herald. It would have been an honor blade. Never mind. No Spren attached.
Well, and that's the thing that comes up here. Dalinar's like, I gotta figure out if she's really got a shard blade, like there's really a spren, or maybe she's got another honor blade.
That'd be a hell of a coincidence, though. There's only 10 of those things in existence. And
right?
It's just like, oh yeah, we've got 2 of them.
Just hanging out over here.
By chance.
And Dalinar, in talking to Navani, is like, my memories keep coming back. I can only assume eventually they all will. And Navani's like, this should not be happening. And Dalinar's like, I mean, I thought the same thing, but really, who can say? The old magic is so inscrutable. And Navani's like, no. I have researched this, okay? The boon and the curse always last until death. He's like, well, how many can you possibly have looked up? And she goes, about 300.
To be fair, how many of those had, like, Stormlight ability? Like,
true.
How many of them had bonded with a Spren? How many of them were Radiants?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Probably none.
We haven't been able to find a single case where the old magic wore off, and it's not like people haven't tried. Lore about people dealing with their curses and seeking a cure for them is practically its own genre. And he's like got this emotional look, and she's like, what? And he's like, I've never had anyone to share this burden with. Thank you. And she goes, can you at least confirm with the Stormfather that the bond is with you, like between you, is not what's causing the memories coming back? And he goes, okay, yeah, I'll ask him. And the Stormfather's like, why does she want you to talk to me again? I've already said no. The Spren do not change like men. This is not a thing of the bond. And Donald's like, yeah, he says it's not him, and he's kind of annoyed with you for asking again.
Let's be real. Stormfather is always annoyed.
You're not wrong. At least this time he's actually giving information as opposed to being like, yeah, I don't feel like telling you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Be grateful for small favors, I guess. And she's like, maybe it was like something about the deal that you made. Like, if you can recount the whole visit to me sometime. And he's like, I don't know. There's not really much to talk about. There was plants, and I asked to have my pain taken away, and she took the memories too, I think. So really, he doesn't seem to remember that very well either. And then it's like, oh crap, we need to go pay attention to our guests. Let's go over there. Malata has found a seat near the wall-mounted sigil of the Dustbringers. So she's in her spot at least, I guess. And Adrotaj is like, oh, is this where you're going to have us all meet when you've gathered the other monarchs? And he's like, no, this place is kind of like a lecture hall. I don't want the monarchs to feel like they're being preached at. And Taravangian's like, yeah, when are they coming? I'm looking forward to meeting the others, like the King of Azir. Didn't you tell me there was a new one, Adrotagia? And I know Queen Fen, she's real nice. Will you invite the Shin? Don't they live in like tribes or something? They even have a king? And they have to be like, yeah, so far you're the only one who has shown any interest in coming. The Queen Fen in Thelana is dodging our requests, and Azir is being stubborn. Eerie dismissed us outright, and on down the list. Like, nobody's coming, basically. The Shin sent only a quick reply to congratulate us, whatever that means. We really know so little about the Shin that weird, like, yeah, congratulations. Like, it doesn't feel completely out of character for me because we don't really know anything about them. So them being weird is like, all right, sure, why not? And when they bring up the Shin, Taravangian's like, hateful people murdering so many worthy monarchs. I guess the Shin are supposed. He's trying to make it sound like the Shin are behind the Assassin in White. I guess that would make sense in a way.
Yeah, like he was Shin, wasn't he?
I mean, yeah, Seth is from Shinovar for sure.
Yeah, so he's just playing into the they must have sent him.
Mm. And Dalinar at that outburst is like, yeah, okay, cool, but we want to focus on trying to, for strategic reasons, on trying to get cities with oath gates in them. So Azir, Thaylen City, Iri, but no one's wanting to listen to us. New Natan is being coy, New Natanan, and the Herdazians think I'm trying to trick them. The Tukari scribes keep claiming they'll bring my words to their god king, and Devani's like, oh no, actually, we got a reply from him just a little bit ago. It's not encouraging. And he's like, okay, well, let's hear it. And he's also like, they give Adrotagia gives like a look, like, hey, do you want us to leave for this? And he's like, no. He wants them to feel like they're part of the alliance already. We're all in this together. And the message is a warning from Tezim the Great, last and first man, herald of heralds and bearer of the oath pact. His grandness, immortality, and power be praised. Lift up your heads and hear, men of the East, of your God's proclamation. None are radiant but him. His fury is ignited by your pitiful claims, and your unlawful capture of his holy city is an act of rebellion, depravity, and wickedness. Open your gates, men of the East, to his righteous soldiers, and deliver unto him your spoils.
Humble.
Yeah. Renounce your foolish claims, swear yourselves to him. He deigns to send you the single mandate and will not speak it again. Even this is far above what your carnal natures deserve. Even Adrotagia is like, wow, well, at least it's clear. Like, this guy is not going to be on our side. So what do we think of this God King? We've had a couple theories about him before, but we've never actually gotten a taste of him before.
He sounds fun.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
Any conversation with him in person is going to be entertaining at least.
Okay, I can see that actually, yeah.
Yeah. What is it? Tukar. That's they're the guys at war with the Azir, or like the
they're at war with Imul, yeah.
Imul, yeah.
The Tukari and the Imuli have been at war for years.
Oh, I'm just looking at the map. These are the guys who have Semelex Dar, which is the gouged out city. Is that right? Yeah. Like sounds like a bucket of laughs. I can't wait for him to come to the party. Like, my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, he called himself, the greatest of all. It's like, well, he must be an avatar of one of the shards. But I've been calling that for, a lot lately. I need to back off on that prediction.
But yeah, I remember you mentioned that, like, maybe he's some sort of avatar. Which, if he is, he's a real full of himself one.
He's not exactly hiding it. He's basically being Morbo.
He's being Lur,
No, it's just like Morbo's making these claims, and everyone's just like, all right, well, whatever. And they're just giggling at him. Across the galaxy, my people are building a fleet that will bring the human race to its knees. But first, this news from Tinseltown.
Oh, Morbo.
Classic.
Oh, man.
Turn down the TV.
That's Lur.
Yeah, I know.
That is, yep. So, because the Tukari and the Imuli have been at war for so long, they said from the beginning, like, we'll only ever get one or the other of those, since they hate each other so much. And now Navani's like, really, I'd rather have the Imuli anyway. Their soldiers aren't as good, but they're also, well, not crazy. So, and Taravangian's like, so really, we're alone? And he looks from Dalinar to Adrotagia, as if he doesn't understand what's happening. And Dalinar says, we're alone. The end of the world has come, and still nobody will listen. And so Taravangian's like, okay, where do we attack first? Herdaz? My aides say that is the traditional first step for Alethi aggression.
Oh boy.
No wonder the Herdaz are just the Herdazians are just like, no, Dalinar's trying to trick us. If anytime the Alethi go on the offensive, Herdaz gets kicked first.
Right? Yeah, I wouldn't believe him either.
It's like, they're lying.
Tradition at this point.
They always lie.
And Dalinar feels kind of like this is not the way he wanted things to go. If even simple-minded Taravangian is able to see, like, oh, obviously the Alethi conquer stuff, right? So if the Alethi want a union with you, it's because they want to go conquer some stuff. And I mean, especially since the Blackthorn is now leading this whole thing, and he's the guy who basically killed people until they made a kingdom of Alethkar in the first place. And so Dalinar's like, no, we're not going to attack anyone. We want to focus on the Voidbringers, the real enemy, and win the other kingdoms with diplomacy. And Taravangian's like confused, like, wait, what? And Advertage is like, oh, no, of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we understand. And she's like, oh, he thinks I'm lying. Or she thinks I'm lying. And then he thinks to himself, are you? Are you lying? If nobody listens, what are you going to do? Nobody could fight both us and the Voidbringers. We could seize their capitals for their own good and have a unified war effort. Yeah, that'll go well. And he's thinking about the oath he took. I will unite instead of divide. And the chapter ends with him just kind of standing, looking out the window at the mountains.
Yeah, not a super, positive ending there.
Yeah, no, not so much. And then we get, if you guys turn the page, we get a piece of Shallan's sketchbook entitled Horses, although it is the most disturbing image, I think, of any that we've seen so far.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's pretty
it's really
bad.
wild.
Yeah, it just keeps pushing that theory. Brandon don't like horses.
Yeah, that's like I don't think we can call it theory anymore.
Yeah.
Like this is primal.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Okay, predicaments is where we're moving next. For next up, we're doing 3 more chapters, and I'll give you guys the titles. Chapter 25 is called The Girl Who Looked Up. Chapter 26 is called Blackthorn Unleashed. And chapter 27 is called Playing Pretend. What do you guys think? Where are we going? What's going to happen? What is coming up next for I said the Stormlight Archive, but I mean Oathbringer and our crew?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. This is we're at this weird point, right? And I think maybe this is where the some of the pacing issues come in for me, right? It's like we have no idea what's going on. Like we don't know, the characters don't know, and we're not getting information kind of quick enough in this section to really figure out where we're headed. And so we're kind of just stuck with the predicaments we've already made, right? Some kind of new enemy is going to appear, whether that be the Voidbringers or some other enemy, we don't know. Like, I just don't know that we have enough information right now to make that kind of predicament. What I can say is I think Shallan will figure out that Adolin killed Sadeas at some point. I don't know how soon that will be. I honestly thought it might have been in these chapters based on the previous title, but other than that, I can't say for sure when it's going to happen, but I do think it's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to tell her or if she's going to figure it out on her own and be very confused. But I don't know what they're going to find out about these other murders. I don't know how they're going to find it out. I don't know who's going to give them the information. I don't know if Mraize is doing this, if the Ghostbloods are doing this, because if somebody had the potential to copy like deaths exactly, that wasn't like supernatural, some kind of supernatural being, I would think it would be the Ghostbloods, but I don't know. The Dalinar stuff, again, we're kind of just in this like politic world, and now we've added this wild card of Taravangian, right? Because we know Taravangian's into some crazy stuff, but nobody else does at this point. So now we've got this wild card in the tower in Urithiru. So like, what is that going to do? So there's just a lot of questions here, and I don't know that we have a ton of direction just yet to figure out kind of where we're headed.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Actually, there's a lot of questions and not yet a lot of direction about where we can expect to go. We're building some momentum in some cases, like we know the Parchment are heading towards something specific, and there's talk about they're going to be fighting. Because the Spren even asked Kaladin, like, will you fight for us? So we're building a little bit in that direction. We're building a little bit with Dalinar trying to found this coalition or whatever, but it's all a little bit bogged down, and you're not sure where any of it's going to go at this point. I can see why with these giant books, like the pacing can become an issue for you.
Yeah, and it's probably just due to the nature of the way that we're reading them. It's like I just like I'm not getting enough information to really form in my mind a direction for the story.
Yeah, that's fair. And at the same time, we're getting the Dalinar's past stuff, and it's like, how's this gonna play in? So
yeah, I mean, I almost wonder if they had to give us the flashback stuff just to have the story about him remembering his wife, right? Because we don't really before we got those flashbacks and kind of what led up to him meeting his wife, we didn't have any context for who she was, what she looked like, what her name was, anything. So
Right.
now we've got that at least.
Yep. But if we have to get the flashbacks specifically for the story of him getting his memories back, that means the story of him getting his memories back has to be leading to something.
Well, one would think, but Brandon.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like this, I tend to agree with Joe. Like the pacing of this is, I feel like I'd hoped the third book in the series would move a bit quicker than it is. But again, it's probably due to the fact that because these are larger books, they've got more room to front load all this setting the scene and everything, and it just takes us longer to get through because of the nature of how we're reading through it. Yeah, I don't know what the chapters could mean. I get the feeling that, Blackthorn Unleashed, that's got to be a Dalinar flashback, and the other two both made me think of Shallan, but I don't know what context. I just don't know what people are going to get up to in the next given chapter because there's not quite the immediacy to it at the moment.
Yeah.
So we will see. And yeah, I don't have any larger predictions than I've put in the past, so I'm going to take a swing. People tend to like that. I think Imuli King, who's just like, I am God and Herald and everything awesome and you all suck. Give me your shit. He strikes me as okay, this is a character who's going to show up. He's not going to be a major character, but he's going to be the ally they keep around because he's reliable, even though no one likes him. It made me think of, Ashweather Set or just characters like that who have tended to show up in some of Brandon's books. It's like, this guy is an arrogant piece of shit and we don't like him, but he's not evil. So he's working towards the same interests as us, so we kind of just keep him around. At least he's open about it.
Okay.
So, yeah, he seems, he came off to me like Set with a god complex. So we'll see where that goes. Maybe there'll be a great time where Dalinar is facing up to Odium's champion, and then this guy just storms in, is like, "Stand back, Dalinar! I've got this," and actually puts up a hell of a fight.
Everyone stand back! Your god is here.
Yeah, just like the ultimate ego. He's like, "I'm about to turn left, and I don't want to smack you with my dick."
I like this theory. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna be pulling for this now.
Yeah. I kind of just want to see this guy just like show up in hopeless situations and actually he's like, you know what? He actually pulled our fat out of the fire with that one. He's still a dick, but yeah, he helped. And he just keeps doing it. Just it's like, all right, fuck you, I'm done now, I'm going. Like, and then shows up later on to do the same thing again. Just like, man, we got to stop letting him come in like that.
Somebody lock the door next time. This is getting weird. Okay.
And then someone else was like, why would you stop him? He's winning.
Yeah, it's like, do you really want to do that? Because it works out in our favor every time.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. I want more of that guy.
Yep.
The crazy hero, the hero that we need right now, not the hero we deserve. I don't know who the hero the Alethi deserve is. They don't really deserve much, honestly.
Yeah. That's a rabbit hole. I'm not. Now's not the time for me to go down there.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah.
Thoughts in terms of chapter titles? No idea. I think maybe Blackthorn Unleashed is another flashback that would seem kind of right. Maybe Playing Pretend sounds like it could be Shallan with Veil or Radiant, but I don't really know. For the girl who looked up, we'll see what happens when we get there. I think that Taravangian is not having a dumb day here. I think he is projecting the exact image he wants to project, especially with Dalinar's comment about, maybe the old Taravangian's still in there somewhere. Like, if he was having a truly dumb day, I don't think he would have that sort of comment come out. But I think they've got a nice cover and they're going to work really hard to maintain that. But he is exactly where he wants to be. I also feel like it's really within Taravangian's best interest to have Dalinar alone. So I'm wondering if he's pulling some strings somewhere, or maybe he's intercepted some messages or something like that to people who would potentially be allies. Now they're not allies.
Okay.
We know that Dalinar is a target for Taravangian anyway, and to have him alone is probably for the best. So I don't quite know how he would necessarily achieve that, but I think he may have something to do with it there. Shallan and Veil and Radiant, watching how they're sort of progressing, I think that as the book goes on, it's possible that, and as her powers grow and she's learning to use the Stormlight and things like that, she may be able to project those personalities like apart from herself, so she could maybe exist at the same time as these other personalities. So effectively, she could be 3 different versions of herself at the same time. I don't know how that would necessarily help a situation, but I don't know, it might. I just think there's a bit more sort of splintering happening just based on how Patton was worried about, you know, what she, as sort of as she was coming out of it, she couldn't remember where something was up to, what was happening with her brothers, you know, all that sort of stuff. So I think there's going to be more to that than just projecting an image and projecting a voice. Something's actually happening to her as she does that. Whether she's doing that to herself or whether it's a known kind of ability of this power, I don't know, but I think that's pretty powerful there. I also don't know whether that's maybe there's a clue in there somewhere to unlocking what's happening with these duplicate murders. It's sort of natural to have Shallan involved because of her relationship with Adolin, but I don't know whether there's going to be, I don't know, some sort of parallel something here to draw from that. But that's kind of where my brain's going at the moment. Yeah, I'll stick that in the back of my mind while we're reading in the future. I agree with Joe that Shallan will solve Thaddeus's murder. She will realize it's Adolin, but then she's going to be in that sort of hard place of do we then reveal that we know there's this supernatural duplication of murdering people showing up? Because it's not just a case of, well, there's one set of murders now. Like, why would someone then, you know, I liked the idea of Iolai committing the same sort of murder to kind of weed out who killed her husband, but you've now got a complete sort of unknown in a tavern, and how many more are we going to learn about? It doesn't make sense for it to be someone doing it. So I feel like they're going to be faced with a, do they share with everyone that they know there's this supernatural duplication thing happening, or do they admit that Adolin did it? Or do they just go, well, I'll never find out who did it? Or I think there's going to be a real dilemma for them of how they go through it. But I don't know, I reckon maybe Shallan will find out maybe halfway through the book and see what happens there. She knows he's hiding something. She's going to figure it out. That's all I've got.
Okay. I like the idea that Shallan will figure it out at some point, and then we'll have to see like where do we go from there. We talked about that earlier also, and it's like, is Shallan just like totally in Adolin's on Adolin's side here? But even if she is, like you said, what does that look like? Like, can we tell Dalinar that, like, no, we didn't solve Sadeas's murder? Sucks. I guess nobody will ever know. Or like how even if Shallan is 100% on Adolin's side, like, would Dalinar be? Like, can we reveal that Adolin, without like Iolai calling for Adolin's execution or something? Like, yeah, where does that end us up? It's nowhere good, probably.
Yeah, how does it look when, you know, the leader of Urithiru is like, oh, look, my son just killed one of the High Princes, like, and now that he's separate from Alethkar as well, it's like, well, okay, you killed a High Prince of Alethkar. That's not my domain anymore. You know, maybe that's how we get back to Alethkar or Kholinar, or maybe, you know, like, it's sort of out of Dalinar's hands anyway.
True. That's actually that brings up another wrinkle that I hadn't even thought about. But one of the things Elhokar said when he's like, Dalinar, you're going to become like the High King, and I'll be like a king under you, is like, you have to give up your claim to the Kholinar princedom and give it to your heir, who is Adolin. So Adolin, is he now High Prince? Is the High Prince going to have murdered another High Prince? Like,
Yeah, and is that an acceptable precedent that we're willing to set? High princes taking out other high princes. Too many. This is, you know, are we willing to do that? Do we draw a line here? Do we just not publicize? Like, you know, presumably, if someone figures out, Iolai is going to figure it out. It's not like no one else is looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then what the hell is Marae's doing there? What what are they? Is it just coincidence that they're there? Yeah,
Mm.
I don't know. Love me a good murder mystery. This is gonna be great.
Well, and then, like, we know that Sadius set them up and betrayed them and left them on the field of battle to die. And apparently, in Alethi culture, that's cool. You can do that. So, is stabbing, like, he did that to another High Prince and his entire army. So now Adolin has stabbed a guy in the face and killed him. Is that less acceptable? I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. In cold blood, not on the battlefield. I mean, I would still say that it was cold blood on the battlefield, but yeah, I don't know. They didn't really do anything about Sadius, did they? So
no, everyone was just like looking the other way, basically.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing for us to hit the resolution of at some point. Yeah. Okay, I like this, the possibilities that you're bringing out here. All right, I guess let's do some emails, y'all. We got a bunch of emails. We'll do at least a couple of them here. Our first email is from Matt, or pronounced as Roman style name based off. So Matinus. There's a note. It's signed Matinus, and then it says pronounced as a Roman style name based off Matt, not as Matt in US. So Matinus says, time to finally email. Hello from way back.
Matthias?
No, not Matthias. No, it's spelled like Matt in US.
Okay.
Matt in US, but it's Matinus. Hello from way back in April of 2023. Just kidding, but I just finished the Lost Metal episodes, which are from that time, so it feels like I'm emailing you from the past. I started listening in December of last year after finishing Wind and Truth, and wanting a reason to go through the whole Cosmere again. Previously, I had read The Seven Mistborn, 5 Stormlight, and Elantris. Thanks for providing a way to go through all of these again. Going through the sets of chapters and then accompanying podcast has been a great way to enjoy this latest journey through Brandon's works. I really love all the shared pop culture references. Seriously, I don't know the last time I heard so many Kevin Smith references, as well as kid stories, theater experiences, and about Joe's Corgi. Here's a picture of my Corgi, R2, included for everyone. Yes, like R2-D2. So hold on, now I'll paste that into the chat so you can see a Corgi. It looks like the Corgi's getting a birthday cake here.
It's a good looking Corgi.
Oh.
Dude.
Oh, the cake is shaped like a barn.
Oh, it is. I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good picture.
Nice to hear a couple fellow Texans talk about the Cosmere. Sorry, Dak and Jamie. I don't have any significant Australia ties, though my family loves Bluey, and my wife and I both cried during the Sign episode.
That is correct. Yes.
You're goddamn right.
I don't think I've seen that one.
That's the big one. It's like a half an hour.
Yeah, it's like the end of the most recent season, or the second to last one of the most recent season, which there's not going to be another season, at least for a while. They're working on the movie now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My son Duncan is probably the same age as Dak and Jamie's little one, almost 3.5 now. So I have really enjoyed all the kid toddler sounds and hearing of their kid grow up on the podcast. I even am relatively certain, based on some references, that I live relatively close to Data and Joe. Maybe a similarly sized town a little over an hour south of you. Didn't know that when I started, but thought it was cool. Anyway, sorry for the long email. Holding off to review or pledge because I was hoping for a rating order rather than a misting type. Wonder if y'all started doing that. Guess I'll find out. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Matinus. No, we have not.
Sorry.
I bet I know what town that is.
I mean, yeah, possibly. I mean, for all the way I read that, I could take it a couple of ways. Where I'm like, does he think we live in Wichita Falls? And then he lives. But have we mentioned where we live?
I don't think we've ever said the town we live in. We do not live in Wichita Falls. If that's the town you're thinking of, but that we don't live there.
But yeah, that was cute Corgi.
Yeah.
Maybe someday you'll get to this point and hear us.
And new baby sounds.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't even know there was going to be more baby sounds. Oh man, I love the baby sounds. A lot of people who have written in or talk in the Discord are like, yeah, I love those. Don't cut those out. And I'm like, well, I cut some of them out. You don't want.
I was about to say the only sounds you will hear in my house in the background is my child screaming. So he
or dog every now and then.
Yeah, he doesn't make cute noises. He just makes screaming noises.
I think we had There was a whole discussion on the Discord one time where people were talking about how cute the baby noises are and how they like them, and it's like you shouldn't cut those. And then there was like one person who's like, I really don't like those. I'm so sorry, man. I do what I can, dude.
And also, like, I'm glad there's somebody out there who's willing to be brave enough to be like, I'm not super into baby noises.
It is okay to not be.
Yeah.
No,
to
yeah.
not
You don't,
enjoy that.
you know, it's a podcast. You don't come to listen to babies. I get it.
That's a different podcast. We'll start that one. The
baby
the
podcast.
baby noises. That's just like a what do you call it? What's the sound thing where people like to listen to comforting sounds?
ASMR.
Yeah. I'm sitting here like USPS. No, that's not the letters.
USPS.
I mean, listening to the sounds of
ESP.
USPS might be more enjoyable than listening to constant baby screaming.
Yeah, that's true.
The next email is from Leslie, and it is titled Gaz and Zahel.
Oh boy.
Hello, everyone. I just got to episode 204 where you find out what happened to Gaz and speculate about Zahel. I'm not quite done with Words of Radiance. I'm about 200 pages or so from the end, but I'm a bit behind on the episodes. I was excited to find Gaz again. I've been wondering where he would come back and looking forward to another perspective from him. Not because I think he's a great person or anything. He does suck, but my predicament about him is that the motion he sees in his darkness is more than has been let on so far. Whether he will be part of Odium's pawns or somehow become a Radiant, I don't know, but I hope Gaz lives long enough for us all to find out. I have to agree with Dak, I think it was Dak, that Zahel does not feel Rosharan. His comments about this language not having proper metaphors reminded me of conversations on Scadrial during the second area between those with Connection Medallion and natives. Words and phrases didn't translate quite right.
If only Data hadn't spoiled who Zahel was in a later episode.
Oh man, that was one of the best moments of this show we've had in our years.
Yeah, it was pretty good. What episode number is that, Data? I'll go back and listen to it.
Hold on, I could probably tell you. Oh, because it was I'm looking at this book. It was the end of the previous book.
It was like a couple of weeks before the Nightblood thing, and you were just like, I was so close.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, yeah, I think it must have been around 227.
Okay.
Either just before or just after, if not that one.
Yeah, I'll go back and listen to myself laugh at you for spoiling something.
I don't think I've
Pretty
ever
awesome.
heard you laugh as hard as you did that day.
Because I was shocked. I laugh that hard in real life.
Oh,
I
I'm
try to
sure.
temper it on the podcast so that it's not obnoxious. But I was just shocked that happened.
I'm still just like facepalm. Okay. Anyway, she continues. I think he's from the planet Warbreaker took place on. Can't remember the name of it right now. Because in the first few chapters, there's a conversation about edible versus non-edible flowers. I was curious to know what happened when non-edible flowers were eaten, but decided it had to be poison when it wasn't addressed. Now I'm mostly convinced there will be more to them than that. Do you guys think Zahel could be Vasher? I kind of do. I'm gonna have to wait and see if there's anything more telling, but I think that's who it is. Anyway, excited to catch up to you guys, binging as fast as I can. Keep up, y'all rock.
Is this person being coy, or do they genuinely not know? Because if they genuinely don't know, you might want to go back and go, this accidentally got spoiled.
Oh, that's a good point.
I would, except actually just today, Leslie sent in a new email.
There you go.
I know.
And I actually haven't read that one in too much detail yet, so maybe she's gotten to that point, maybe she hasn't. We'll have to see. We're going to leave Leslie's other one for... her new email is titled, Heard My Email. So she must send another email before that we read, because I just read that. So
yeah.
We'll do... Here, we got time for like one more here. This is a short one. This one is from... Sorry, it's signed Colo, but I think that's the lead, the good the salutation, or what do you call it at the end? Whatever, it doesn't matter. This one is from Jason. It's titled, Hey there, y'all. I caught up with you so far and am able to read along. As a big Wheel of Time and Song of Ice and Fire fan from way back, I'm used to waiting for chapters to read. I waited years to find out what happened to a main character who had a wall fall on him. Anyway, something occurred to me, and I thought I'd share with the room. The city that we've teleported to. No idea what the word looks like. Eurytheru? You got it pretty close. You used E's instead of I's, but other than that, you spelled it right, Jason.
I'm gonna assume audiobook listener then.
Almost certainly, yeah. The city seems very similar to Elantris. It's a city we know who knew glory formerly, and the inhabitants worked to restore both it and their own glory abilities. Did that make sense? Anyway, keep up the fun, and thank you for making my Mondays worthwhile. Colo. Damn, audiobooks really make writing emails hard. So yes, there you go. Audiobook listener.
Yep.
I don't know. It's never felt too much like Elantris to me, but I do see the parallels that you're talking about.
I can see the parallels, but like Elantris was a city. Urithiru is a tower.
True.
Like-
Yeah, it's more like a monument than like a city in my head. You know what I mean? Like it's this giant.
Yeah, I mean
Like-
it's clearly big enough. They've got like whole markets and stuff set up in it, so I can
Yeah.
see. All right, you can make the argument that it contains a city, but
Yeah.
yeah, I see that point.
Yeah. I have to wonder, like, you know, when it was in its full swing, was it just a giant hub of trade and commerce and like a place for that the Radiants lived, or like was it actually a city, like were tons of people living there?
I feel like we get a few in the excerpts from the Way of Kings back in, I guess, Way of Kings when it was an epigraph. We got a couple little hints about like what Urithiru was like, but I don't think we know much about it. So yeah, that's a good question. Actually, let me do one more because this one is super short. This one is from Joe, presumably not Joe on the show.
No, I didn't write in to the sanderlanch@gmail.com. But if you want to send us an email, that's where you send it.
It's true. You do. This one is titled Dragon Ball Podcast. Hey, I had mentioned on an email I sent you before about a first-time reader podcast about Dragon Ball, and you said you were curious about it. The podcast is called Dragon Ball Manga Reading Club. Manga reading. It does just a single chapter each episode, so they tend to be fairly short. Unfortunately, they haven't done a new episode since last June, so it ended at chapter 22. They were in the middle of the Red Ribbon Army saga.
That is the worst saga, in my opinion. I don't know. There's just Goku and the Red Ribbon Army. I didn't enjoy it, and then the fact that it keeps cropping up even into DBZ.
I mean,
like,
even beyond
all right,
that,
yeah. I'm like, all right, I get it. Red Ribbon Army, don't care.
Like Goku. We don't need to get into a whole thing, but it is bizarre that there's like an entire army and a little kid just like trashes them all, and then like it keeps coming creeping back up. Like people show up wearing the symbol and stuff, and it's like, really, you're repping an army that like 2 decades ago got obliterated by like a 5-year-old or however old Goku is at the time.
He was 12.
Oh, was he really? Okay.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like 12 or 13 at the time.
But it's just like you're proud of. Okay, whatever. Like you
Maybe-
can have
maybe it's in their contract.
you can have a new affiliation. Like you could start your own club and not reference the embarrassing history of the Red Ribbon Army.
Yeah, I don't get it either. It must have been an Akira Toriyama thing. He must have really liked it. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Red Ribbon Army?
No, Akira Toriyama.
Okay. So yeah, we got a few more emails, but we'll save those for another time. No new patrons this week. So Joe already gave you guys the email address if you want to send us an email, thesanderlanch@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky and Patreon, where I'm still posting my reactions to reading Wind and Truth for the first time. This week was chapters 87 through interlude 14. So check that out if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Yep. Check us out in the car, on the boat, wherever good times are had.
Nice. I had to download a podcast before I got on the boat when we took the cruise, so I could be like, I got something to listen to at some point during this week on the boat when I will have no internet access. So I had to conserve it for the right time. No, all right. So remember, Joe may not be able to make it for a few weeks here, so think fondly of Joe if we don't get to hear his opinion. But,
yeah, or not. You know, it's whatever.
Yeah, think badly about him if you really want to.
I mean, it's not gonna hurt my feelings.
That's in your own head, so you do you.
Yep.
But thank you everybody for all of our emailers, our patrons, people hanging out on the Discord, chatting it up. Thank you to everybody who shows up every week and listens to the show. We appreciate you. Remember, we're doing 3 more chapters for next time. That is chapters 25 through 27. And we're getting close to the end of part 1. Finally, you guys can get some new epigraphs in a couple episodes here, and maybe that'll.
Thank God.
You'll feel like the plot is moving faster just because the epigraphs have finally changed. But yeah, if you're following along, 3 more chapters. Music by Miracle of Sound, and Wuzzing to the Time of Next. Colo, PS Fashion. Crabs ahoy!
Coronas wide, supernovas die, fractured in the fateful fall of man. Feel the heart raging of a strength unseen. Unity will bring the upper hand. So look to the break of dawn.